both now. Thank you. I totally forgot about that. So are you able to see? You are able to see my screen, right? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, sorry about that. So the public group is the one, basically, if we want to group together a lot of users, either by roles or by role and subordinates or by individual users, we can club a lot of users together using public groups. And the public groups, we can use it for sharings, folder access, and various things. And so we also saw that whenever we create user, we can assign a user to a role. And so we also have seen that we can create something called role hierarchy. As we create, I mean, the way usually like organization structure, CEO, VP, director, and managers and senior managers, all that stuff, and employees. So to that level, we can assign users under role hierarchy. The main thing that role hierarchy gives us is when we have a private data model, the managers will automatically get access to what the subordinates have. And I mean, you see these queues in the service scenarios mainly. The queues is another way. Basically, if you have escalation cases or maybe some order cases, invoice cases kind of thing. So if you want to send a different, all the cases related to orders to one queue and escalation related cases into another queue. So basically there is something called queue you create, and you assign the cases to the queue, and you assign users to queues. So I mean, there is a little bit of hierarchy you can maintain with queues, and you can route the cases basically to different queues, and you assign agents to different number of queues, and that's how you manage the service scenarios efficiently using queues. And then whenever we want to give object permissions, so by default, I mean, through profile, we can give access. And so if we want to run some pilots, and also typically we go with permission set. And and also there is little bit of here and there, I see some profile deployment issues with profile. So you may want to use permission set as much as possible. And also we have, I mean, we talked about there is something called field level setting. We will come to that little later. If you have done the exercise, you may have seen this thing already. Basically an account object or any object, if you have multiple fields, and if you want to control access to one of the fields, that's where you use this field level security. And typically, I mean, to expand the sharing access, we will use these two things called say account team and opportunity team, and sales team. Maybe by typo I may have written that one. So basically there is something called account team and then opportunity team, and this is another way for users to allow other users to share their records with other users so that they can collaborate. We will see these things on today's class. So let's see our understanding. So the first one here, if the scenario is organization by default on any object is private, and the object permissions basically they give, I mean, by default access like read access and all. And the question is, so if you see here, the US sales director and US sales EMEA sales director. Can the US sales director view the data owned by EMEA sales director? So there is somebody who owns some records here, and the organization where the default is private, and the object permission, basically this user has view, this user has view on the object level. Can this guy see some records that are owned by this guy.
Since it is set to private, they'll not be able to.
Yeah. Yeah, this user can't see the records owned by this user unless until because it is private, we have to write some sharing rules, or this user should share the records with this user. So that's the only way. And then same scenario, basically it's the organization wide default. This is also called OWD. So OWD is private, and the standard object permissions are enabled. And then can the EMEA sales director edit, delete one of the accounts owned by EMEA sales rep. So now it is a hierarchy. So let's say somebody won some records here under the hierarchy. So now they're talking about whether the director can do anything on these records that are owned by his subordinate.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody
Yeah.
higher in the hierarchy has more authority, right?
Yeah. So usually,
They-
so the subordinate access automatically inherited by the supervisor. So that's why, so this user automatically get access. Now the OWD is private, the object permissions are enabled, and the question can CEO basically, so here CEO view and edit data owned by Asia Pacific user. Yeah, so that's right. So now, I mean, this is still hierarchy. So whether from here, this guy inherits uh, the record access. From here, this guy inherits, and this guy basically, that's how the hierarchy works. And because they are saying it is default sharing settings, and automatically the CEO would get the access. So build out role hierarchy to include shared and unshaded roles. On the next slide, rename the VP of global sales and global sales roles role to sales include sales operation. So let's see the slide. So basically, this is the shaded one. I mean unshaded one. So they want us to create this Asia Pacific sales director and Asia Pacific sales rep, two roles. And yeah, I mean, this is very straightforward. So let me just quickly create one. So just two roles. So the way you create roles, obviously, most of the things you will go to setup and just look for roles. So this is the role hierarchy. So you just expand this guy, you will see the role hierarchy here. So they want us to create VP global sales. Yeah, VP global sales and the sales operations. So we have this guy, so VP global sales. They want us to rename this guy to global VP global sales to service. Yeah. Global sales and sales ops. So we're just renaming that guy. And then underneath that, so that guy, so underneath that, so we have this US and other ones. So they want us to create Asia Pacific director. So right here, you say, okay, add role. Yeah, I mean, whenever this guy, so when you are writing some reports, if you think, okay, this one is too long label, you can give some easy label here. That's the purpose of this guy, to see in the reports. If you don't give anything, basically it's the same label will go follow. And also the role hierarchy. So here, as you see, how do you want to give some access? Basically, if at all a user wants any accounts, so how do you want the case contact access and opportunity access and case access you want to control? And if you want to give any different way of access, you can typically change it here. So I'll just go with the default ones. And so let's go back to role hierarchy. And they also want us to create a APAC sales rep underneath this guy. Yeah, I mean, the importance of this role name. So this is the API name. So whenever you are writing some Apex code or anything, so this one we will be using. This is kind of a unique one. So whereas here, this one you can keep it. Even if you want to write another role with same name, you can do it. But system won't allow you to write same role again. So, I mean, with the API name again. And here we are saying, so this sales rep is reporting to sales director. And the way you assign users, I think the next slide, they are asking us to assign some users. Basically, the APAC sales director Anlin and APAC sales rep Jin Chang. So that's how they want us to do. So here, if you want to assign user, so you just look for all users and Jin. So Jin Chang. So this is how you assign users. And similarly, you can do the other one. Yeah, I mean this one. So I mean you can do it later. So this is they're asking us to create another sales engineer role underneath that one and assign some users. So now we gave access. We restricted access. We started expanding the access slowly by adding sharing rules. And the way sharing rules we are doing, so basically we go to sharing settings under setup, and we either pick, okay, based on the user we want to give or based on the record we want to give. So that's how you control the sharing. So this is the criteria based one, basically the second one, and also the based on the owner. We did based on the internal users yesterday or in the last class, and we can also do by the criteria. When I say criteria, so they may say, okay, hey, give access to all the opportunities, all one opportunities to so and so user. At that time, so we have to write certain criteria. So basically, your criteria would be status equal to 1, and with whom you want to share. Basically, whether it is a public group or role and subordinate, and what kind of access you want to give. So let's look at the second one in the system. So again, same thing, sharing settings. So let's pick the same object. So yeah, when you select that guy, so basically underneath here you will see, are there any profiles that are overwriting these things? So that's how you will see. And this is the one, basically owner criteria. So here somebody owns this record, owned by all internal users, and we are sharing with all sales reps. So now if we say, if someone says, okay, hey, HR team wants to see all the one opportunities. So let's assume that our finance team. So that's when we say share one, yeah, opportunities with that is the finance team. And we are saying, so share one opportunities with account receivable. And let's look, so this is where they are saying one opportunities. Now we have to look for the record. So on the record, we will say there is one opportunities. So let's say here, this is a field on the opportunity object. So we will say that guy, and we will say, okay, equals to true. So now basically all the opportunities that are one. So that's what this condition. So this is the condition. And now to whom we want to share these guys. So here basically there is a role called account receivable, and whoever is on this role, they automatically get the sharing of these records. So now let's do this. So again, so it will take little time to run that sharing, and it will work. And now let's look at this account sharing. So basically there is Ted Kim, and there is Maya. So these two users, because of the sharing that we did, so they should be able to see all the one opportunities. So now if we go log in as any of these users, and this is still classic. So all opportunities. Yeah, you see here. So basically the stage closed one, closed one. Even though we are saying all opportunities, it is only giving a subset of opportunities, and it is not giving any other ones. And so by default, I mean, this user doesn't own any opportunities, and that's how we are expanding the sharing based on the record. I mean, record criteria. So that's that. Yeah, we look at these ones. Any questions there? I mean, with either sharing criteria or owner based sharing. Yeah, I mean, we looked at this guy. Yeah, this is the one. I mean, the public group is another one. So in interviews and also they ask a lot of questions, how to manage sharing, and how to manage public groups. So we'll take a look at that public group little bit. So how to add more users and all. So basically for public group, you can add individual users, you can add roles, you can also add role and subordinates, and you can add another public group. Basically one public group can one public group can be added to another public group. Yeah, I think we covered this one. So basically writing another sharing rule with a public group. We did it with a role. So here they're saying share with another public group. Yeah, so here in this one, so basically you can try this one on the applicant uh, object. So by default, I believe we made that one public, I mean private. If not, so make it public, sorry, private, and then use some sharing rules that are given here, and share them with however they are saying. So basically all the open positions share with all the VPs. So and then finally, so there is this account team and the opportunity teams. So we'll take a look at that one. So that is another way to expand the access. So before that, let's go look at the public group little bit. So we can create a public group. I mean, let's say we call this public group as sales leaders. And so here is where you can see all those guys. Either you can add public group or you can add roles, role and subordinate users. Let's say if we say users, and we know Alison is sales VP, so let's add Alison. Or if we say, okay, we want to use roles, let's say APAC sales rep that we just created, we can add that one, and also roles and subordinate. And typically if you give the top one, so APAC sales rep, I mean, that is the lowest one. So even if you say role and subordinate, underneath that, there is no subordinate. There is no, not much use of that one. Whereas this guy, role and subordinate, if you view this one, because this is a parent one, it will give access. I mean, this public group will have this one and also this one. And the sales director is reporting to some VP. VP this guy. So if we give that one, so basically we are adding one more. Especially in the arts companies, so there will be a lot of hierarchies. And if you want to manage this effectively, so based on your business scenario, you have to pick the topmost one that is eligible for that criteria. And if you add it, so that way you can reduce a lot of entries here. And also, as you are adding more, let's say the VP global sales and sales rep, if we instead of that, if we add just APAC and the US director, US sales and all, and if we create a new role hierarchy, so that one won't be accounted. So that's why it's better to add the topmost one, which is good enough for the business scenario. So we don't have any. So let's say if we say another one, so sales all sales users. So now what we can do, all sales users, the who is the VP? So the VP, this guy. So we can put this guy and make this one. And let's look at the other one, sales leaders. So actually sales leader, I mean, we call this one as sales leader and we added the APAC sales rep, which doesn't make sense. Let's take this one out. And also, can any of you tell what is the wrong here? So I mean, based on the name and the assignment. So we are calling this one as sales leaders, and we are calling this type as role and subordinate. So what is going to happen here? So if we see here, Alison is VP, and also the sales rep who is under this hierarchy. So those guys will also be part of that one. So that's why, I mean, we don't want to add this role and subordinate in this case. So if we want to say only leaders, so let's say roles, we need to go by roles. And so the APAC, I mean, since it is director, so we can take the director here, and EMEA director, and human resource, we don't want that. Sales operations, if you want, we can take that. So the advantage with this one, so it is not adding the subordinates, it is only adding the users on that role. And also, if we have multiple directors on the Asia Pacific, and we are going to add them here, and that's why one role is good enough. Otherwise, if we manually adding those individual users using this option, and it is going to be maintenance one. So if we say here, so let's say if Alison Wheeler is individual user, and if we want to add this user here, and let's say Alison Wheeler is gone, and there is a new VP comes in, at that time that user will not be part of that one. That's why it is better to add by the role, because the individual may be leaving the company at some point. The roles most likely, so they stay as is. So it's better to go by roles. Yeah, any questions there on the public groups or on the, this one is also very critical. And so based on the business scenario, I think we always need to ask better questions whenever they say, okay, hey, create a public group and all. We need to make sure it is less maintenance going forward. Yeah, so let's look at the account team. So if you see account, and also let's go here, let's see what is the sharing setting that we gave on account. On account we gave, I guess it is public read. That means everybody in the organization, whoever has account object read permission, they are able to read all accounts, because all accounts we are record access we give public, and object access if we give read, so they will be able to read. And even if the object has edit access, they won't automatically get that one. So because we need to give little more access. If the user wants it, obviously they will have edit access. If they are not the owners of the account, and if they are not on the account hierarchy, I mean role hierarchy, so we have to provide little bit of access to those guys. And if you see accounts, and we did not write any sharing rule. And obviously, so we gave a little bit of account receivable user, we give view all permission, so they are able to view, I mean even without this guy. And if we for system admin we give modify all, so they should be able to edit all account, whoever is system admin. So now let's say we want to share sales rep accounts between each other. So let's say if a business says, okay, hey, even though it is public, and our sales reps should be able to see each other accounts, if that is the requirement. And we have to basically create another sharing rule here. So that is one option. And let's say it is now, I mean, if the business says, okay, hey, we don't want to give all the sales reps access, but we want whoever is the account owner, we want them to control access. If they say that, so potentially if we go back and look at the account, so if you look at any account, there is something called account owner. I mean, it is not only for account, basically any object, Salesforce, all of these are objects, as we talked in the first class. And every record or every object, when we have records, everything will have owner. So if it is account owner, if it is opportunity owner, and if it is lead owner. So now we have this account owner, and this guy Phil Smith is the a sales rep, and he owns this account, and he is the responsible for this account business for this company. And when he needs some help, so let's say if he wants to share all this account with somebody else, and he should have some access. So that's where there is something called account team, and he can also create an account team. He can assign it by default. So and right now account team is not enabled in this org, and that is one time admin setup that the admin has to do. So let's go back to account setup. So if you see for account, Yeah, so basically this is one time one, as I said. So we just need to click account teams, and immediately, I mean, right now you don't see any account team as a related list here, and that will enable the feature. And this is one time. We say we enable account team and we save it. And also it is asking, okay, do you want to add this account team to account layout? And we'll say yes. And basically if the users personalize that one, so add it to all the users. And also, I mean, when we are adding account team members, sometimes you can say, okay, what is the role of the employee that you are adding? So that's where this one will come. Yeah, we'll come back to this guy. So let's look at the account team once. Yeah, you see here account team, and same thing you will be able to see it here. So right now we are not able to add any account team. So let's go back. Let's add some roles, team member roles. That there are roles there. Great. Everything looks good here. So basically, when we want to add some default account team member and also I don't see that option. Let's look at the configuration a little bit with object. Yeah, this is an easy way to go to that object. Otherwise, you go to setup and then you go to by default it will come here. If you go to setup and then you go to object manager and you look for account. So that is, I mean, that is another way. So whereas if you are on the object, if you quick, it is a quick way to go to that object, edit object, that will directly take you to this guy. So and now let's look at this page layout. So this is the page layout that is coming, and we work on this thing in the next module. Yeah, I see account team member there. Yeah, so those are all enabled. I don't see the button. Okay, now it came. I don't know why we are not seeing here, but at least we are seeing on the top. So here you can add team members. So this is how you will say, okay, Phil Smith, if you want somebody, let's say Kevin Bailey, if you want him to work with him on this account, he can basically say, okay, um, he can ask him to collaborate, and he can also give what kind of access. Mostly Kevin Bailey may not have access to this account right now, or maybe since we shared with all sales users, he might have access. But let's say if this user doesn't have access, this is another way to give access. So this is where we are saying, okay, I want to give him either read access or write access. So and also on the related accounts, contacts of this account, the whatever the account that we were looking at, so he can control, he can give access. Even for opportunities, he can say what access he should have. What we are saying here, so Phil Smith, or maybe right now I'm doing, is giving Kevin Bailey setting as a lead qualifier role. Actually, let's change another one. So sales, yeah, channel manager. for this account with so and so access. Basically, account read access, contacts read write access, cases private, and opportunities read write access. So this is only applicable to this account. So this Acme New York account, he wants Kevin Bailey to be collaborating and helping him. Basically, that's what we are saying. And now if we go back to Phil Smith, and Phil Smith will have little more things that he can do on his account. He can add a default team, and he can, so that way he can easily add a user. So first, Phil Smith, we are saying, so let's say, so Amy Daniels, we want Amy Daniel to have read write access, and on the contacts read access, so read write, and here we will say pre-sales consultant. So with this role, so he wants, I mean, he wants this user as a default account team member. So let's save this one, and let's go back to that Acme account one more time. So on my user, so I don't have any default team member setup, but it is only on the Phil Smith account. Yeah, it is on the Phil Smith. So now again, if we go back accounts, I mean, I'm still login as myself. And if I say assign default team member, potentially it might say, okay, there is no default team for you. And then we will go back and log in as Phil Smith. I mean, these are various ways to give more access to other users. Yeah, let's say add default team. Okay, looks like I have some default team already. That's why it came. The pre-sales consultant, Amy Daniel, and Kevin Bailey. Okay, so this one may be taking from the account owner. Let's look at some other account if we have anything else other than the accounts that are owned by Phil Smith. So let's say this account is owned by Anjana Shah, and if we try to assign some default account team, let's see what will. Yeah, so this account owner has the account record owner. Basically, it is going after the account record owner, not by the user who is doing it. So it looks at the account owner. For the account owner, whoever, if the account owner maintains the default account team, it will assign. Or I mean, the another way is manually you can go assign it. So the other one is a little easier way for individual users. Typically, they set up their individual default account team members, and so with a simple button click, so they should be able to assign the default team. So let's say if we go to Acme Inc, because it is owned by Phil Smith, and there are no default account team now. And if we go here, if we say okay, add default team, so it should bring Amy Daniel. So because Amy Daniel is the only one that we assigned for that user, that's why it brings only that user. And the other thing that typically there will be a lot of record access issues that you will run into, and at that time, so you use this button sharing to troubleshoot the record access. Yeah, so here it will say, okay, how this account ABC Labs is shared with so many users in the company. And because we started with public access, and slowly we are adding a little bit of extra access. Here it says Alison Wheeler has full access. Can you tell why Alison Wheeler has full access on this account? Hopefully, you
Is
guys
it the
are
role?
sorry.
It's,
And
is it the role that we assign?
yeah, so basically, if you want to see why that thing is there, you click on this thing, and here it will say manager. The full access is here. So here, basically, it says relationship. Even I mean, Amy Daniels is at least 2 levels higher up in the hierarchy, but it is still says okay, manager of the owner. The manager is Allison. I mean Phil Smith, and in the hierarchy, Allison is somewhere up. That's why the owner inherits the subordinate access. That's why it gives access to Allison Wheeler. And let's say if we pick another one, so again this one is owned by Phil Smith. And if we look at the hierarchy, no, that is the account sharing. We need a sharing hierarchy. So here it will say, so I mean some user Jacob Lerner has read access on the account. And if you need to know why this user has access, potentially you will go here and you will check, okay, so why that user has access. So this is how you understand the relationship. And if at all some user says, okay, hey, I don't have access, typically you would go here and you check, okay, you make sure, okay, that user doesn't have access. Or the other way is log in as that user and try to take the URL. So now you know when we say house central, the URL, you know this guy. So basically you take the URL, you log in as that user, and you try to access this URL again. And if the user doesn't have access, it will typically say insufficient access. And then you can slowly start giving access, or you try to find a better way to give access to that user. And let's see if we go. Is there a way to see the visual hierarchy of the user? Yeah. So that's the one. I mean, it is little tricky here, Kritika. So if you go here, this is how you see the hierarchy. And the other way is you see here sorted in the list. This is another way. And you see, do we see users here? I mean, here is also a hierarchy and show list. Yeah, I mean, these are the ways you see. I mean, here one way it is only shows the hierarchy. I mean, most of the time we follow the tree, and so this is how you see. Basically, here it will only show the roles, and when you need to see the individual, you need to go in. And the other way, so now you know Brent Bossy is a VP of Finance, and he is on this role. And there is no way straight away here it won't show. But the other way is if you go to users, and you can see the role here. So user and role, so both you can see, and there is no hierarchical way and also the user at the same time to see. Yeah, that is not possible, but there are little different ways you can see it differently. I hope yeah. So yeah, that's the account team. I mean, basically, when an account owner wants to invite somebody else on the company to collaborate with him to work on a particular account in private sharing model, they can invite using account team, and they can also set default account team to make it easy. I mean, if he or she wants same user to collaborate with him on a lot of accounts, the default team becomes very handy. So, and also there is another thing, opportunity team. Let's see whether it is on this. Trying to move this away. Okay, opportunity settings and opportunity team settings. Same thing. I mean, let's say if the Phil Smith doesn't want to give account level access, but he wants somebody to collaborate on particular opportunity. So, I mean, we also made opportunity as private as in the sharing settings. So now, so if he wants somebody to collaborate with him on any particular opportunity, so he needs another way. So, so here we made this private, and if you want somebody else other than these shared users to collaborate with him, so he has to, I mean, let's go back, look at one opportunity before that. I think ABC Labs is owned by. Let's look at one of the opportunities that we created. Okay, again, you don't see any opportunity team or anything because we haven't enabled that one. So this is what you see in sharing hierarchy again. So if that opportunity is shared by anybody, we can see all that information here. So now if you wants to invite somebody, so this is where this opportunity team setting would come in handy. So enable team selling. And we have some layouts. Basically, it is asking us to add which layout to add. And I'm saying basically all the layouts. So when I say layout, basically this is the layout. I mean, this is the account and the detail page, whatever you see, that is the layout. And so here there are some related lists. So because of the change that we did, it should come here. I think it is opportunity team or sales team, one of those. Yeah. So now we got opportunity. Again, so this user can set up the individual opportunity and the default opportunity, so he can add, or if he wants to invite manually, so there is this option. So again, the UI look a little bit similar, and here he is giving only opportunity access. He doesn't see the other objects, basically account, contact, case, you won't see because he is sharing only opportunity. So that's the role, and you can select somebody here. I think Ted Kim already has access. Somebody. And so if at all he wants to give him edit access, because even if Kevin Bailey needs to edit this opportunity, so he can give edit access. And again, so if we go back to this opportunity, and if we see this sharing hierarchy, so we should be seeing Kevin Bailey here, read write access. And if we go see why, so basically here you see the sales team. That's how basically you see all the relationship, and you understand why a particular record has access to a particular record. I mean, particular person has access to particular record. So that is the data access. I mean, there are various ways we can view the access in a private model. If it is public model, I mean, public in the sense public read write, you don't need to worry about all this stuff. But if it is private, then these are various ways you need to use to expand the access. And obviously there is a manual sharing. So you can go under manual sharing, you can give that one too. And I mean, we talked about all these things. So we looked at OWD setting, that is the organization wide default setting. So I mean, whenever we create object, we ask business, okay, who is the most restricted user? Is there anybody that shouldn't be seeing this record? So that's how we start the discussion as an administrator. And based on the answers that business gives, we will set up the access. So if they say, yeah, if business says yes, so so and so person or so and so roles people that shouldn't be seeing it, then you start with private. And if they say, yeah, everybody can be able to see, I don't see any problem, then you will start with public read write. And if they say, yeah, everyone should be able to edit, then you give read write. And potentially you don't need to worry about all these things because you are already giving it access to the record, and you end up right there if you give public read write. Whereas if you give either public read or public, the private, then you need to start this opening up access. The various ways is the role hierarchy, and then sharing rules, and also the teams, the account team and the opportunity team, and the manual set. So this is another one. I mean, we were talking about this field level security. So I just quickly show you what it is. And let's say this opportunity, if business says, okay, let's pick one field, credit card number, and this is the finance information. So as a system admin, obviously I should be able to see, but let's say if um, the sales user shouldn't be seeing this credit card number. So at that time, what, I mean, let's enter some credit card number. Most probably it should be um, I mean, ideally, so when we create this credit card number, there is something called masking. So, I mean, we should be using that kind of data type. But whereas here, the credit card number, so it is being exposed here. So when it is exposed, I mean, everybody in the organization can see, and that becomes an audit issue for the company. So first thing, I mean, nobody should be able to see it. That's how we do this for the sake of this one. So let's say system admin can see it, but not the sales user. If that requirement comes, so again, we need to go here. We need to go to edit object. So the opportunity is fine. So everyone should be able to see, but only the field is in question here. So we go to the field and we look for the credit card field. And we look at this field level security. This is called FLS. And here basically we are saying visible. So basically everybody is able to see. So let's say sales user and sales manager. I mean, we can pick sales user to test. So now we said, okay, sales user should not be able to see. Let's go back to the same opportunity. So this is owned. Okay, so this is owned by me. And so this is also a closed one. And we expanded the opportunity sharing to account receivable folks. So let's also set the account receivable user not able to see. So now if we go, I mean, obviously because it is a one opportunity, the account receivable folks should be able to see the record. Let's find one user, account receivable user. And this is what I was saying. So maybe if you save this one, actually read only field is not selected. Okay. Yeah, so for that field, the user should be able to edit because it is not read only. That's correct. So now, yeah, earlier the user has edit access. Let's look at this. Yeah, so basically, let's look at login as TED. And let me use this URL. Yeah, TED has access to some opportunities. Let's see this test currency D here. You see in the finance information, so the credit card field is not visible. So because of the change that we didn't make any changes to the page layout. The field is still there on the page layout, but because we said, okay, the visibility setting of that field is hidden, so immediately this field will go away from the user. Whereas if I log in, I mean, if I log out of this user and try to log back in as me, I should be able to still see that field because I still have access to that field. On the system admin profile, I did not make any change. So I take the same URL. Yes, I still see that. The other way is if we think, okay, this is a totally sensitive field, and through API we can maintain the credit card, and at that time what we can do, so we'll go to the page and we'll completely take it out. Even at that time I won't be able to see, but if I have to see it, I may have to use different backdoor entries at that time. I believe this is the page layout. And when we want to remove something, so typically you just click this guy and remove it, and it will put it on the back. And if you want to get it again, so you can bring it back. So you just save it.
So quick question, Shrikant.
Mhm.
So if you remove the field from the page layout, so whoever has access to this page layout will not be able to see, right? This is one way.
Whoever has access to that one, I mean, if you remove it from the page layout, whoever goes to the page through the UI, no one will be able to see it because you remove it from the page layout.
Okay. So the other thing that you did is like went to the object manager and you said the
Field level security.
field that is by role, right?
That is by profile or permission set.
Yeah, profile or permission set. We while creating the profile also we do this, right? Like we
Yeah.
have field level security. So
Yeah,
either we
well,
do it that way.
yeah, I
That
mean,
way when you do it's by profile, individual profile. When you try to update, that's how we do it. Here you can have the control to give access to multiple profiles, right?
yeah.
One shot.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, you can do, I mean, you can do multiple ways. So instead of removing credit card field, can you hide or display? So yeah, that's the one. The role. So when you say role, no. So basically, based on the roles, you cannot do that. So you have to do either profile or permission set. The role comes into picture for the record. Basically, this is the record. For this record, if you want to control access, that's where you can use role or public group or those sharing settings. But when you want to control the display of the field itself, role cannot be used. So you have to use either permission profile or let's say if this field we still add that to the page layout, but I made this as invisible field through the field level security. Then I can create another field, another permission set. On that permission set, I will give the edit access. Let's do that. So I will add the field back onto the layout, and we already control the so let's add the credit card field back. So the field is there, but still the finance user is not, I mean, will not be able to see it, because on the for this field we control the visibility. So we still have that one. So let's do a couple more things. So for the sales user, and there is executive user. Executive user, so we are saying, we'll say only read only. So we give, I mean, we are saying the executive user can be able to see it, but it is only display only field. So this user should not be able to edit. I mean, obviously Alison Wheeler is above the hierarchy, and she should be able to see credit card fields, but I mean any record, but she should not be able to edit any credit card field. So that's what we did. But whereas account receivable user, see, I mean the user neither able to see nor able to edit. So so let's go back. I mean, we make a few changes. Let's refresh the page. Obviously, I did not touch my profile. I should be able to see the field on the layout because we just added it. So the credit card field is back. Now, if we go back and log in as Allison, and obviously, so you see here, I am able to edit it. And yeah, so let's go back to Allison. Yeah, I mean, these are various ways you can control the visibility and also the access to fields, the object level, record level, the field level. So there are multiple ways. Yeah, I mean, I mean, see right there, the pencil button is not even there. So that means she cannot edit that field. And obviously we have seen the account receivable user, I think that, right? Yeah, I mean, we have seen this one already. So this user should not be able to see now. That field is not there. So let's go back, give her access, not through the profile. I mean, we don't want all the account receivable to see the field, but only Ted should be seen. So now that's where we create this permission sets. So once we go there, so we go to this object settings, we look for opportunity. And we edit this guy. So so we will go for credit card field and we say edit access. I mean, we want to give edit access, and we say, I mean, object level access, the profile will take care of that. So now we assign TED. So we give the permission to the permission set, and we assign TED to for that. And now if we log in, so since the field is already there on the page layout, now you should be able to see, and or she should be able to see, and she should be able to edit. Kim should be able to edit. Okay, so why is she not able to? I mean, the user doesn't have edit access to the record. I mean, it's not about the credit card field. The total. I mean, because the way we did the sharing rule, I'm owning this record. Basically, Srikanth wants this record, but the sharing rule is, I believe the way we did it is any records owned by sales team should be shared with the finance team. I believe that's how we did. Let's go back and check another closed one. It doesn't have any. Let's look at the sharing rule. I mean, this is where people would complain. So it's saying, okay, I don't have access. So this is how we troubleshoot. Now, Ted Kim, so who is account receivable user, doesn't have access to edit. So that's what we are troubleshooting. So let's look at Ted. So Ted, we see that this role is account receivable, and the user is there. So now let's look at our sharing setting, and it is opportunity object. So opportunity is private and 1 equal to true. And basically, so you see, I only gave read access. That's why the user is not able to edit. So now, so we are saying, so let's give read write access, and the sharing rules will run. I believe that should be done. Let's go back as the user. Yeah, so now the user is able to edit the record. We fix the record access issue through the role and the sharing rule. And we also fix the credit card field edit access through the permission set. I mean, those are various ways we can do the controlling access. I mean, most of the time, these are the things we will be dealing. Access issues, typically in a private sharing model, there will be a lot of access issues here and there. Yeah, I mean, I will share this the YouTube playlist. This one talks about the sharing on very high level. I mean, not high level, very detailed level. When you have some time, so just watch this, and they explain a lot of these things very well. Yeah, I mean, short videos, but definitely gives a lot of information, potentially they covered a lot of things that we spoke in the class, and I mean very detailed ones. I think we can stop it here. We can continue how to create objects, basically all these things in the next class. Anyone has any question before we end the call?
I think it's a lot to digest. We'll have
Yeah,
to
I mean, it takes time, but this is the core concept for admins. The access one is the main one. So especially for certification, a lot of things, and even in the interviews, they ask a lot of questions on this one, how you control access. So yeah, so the next one is in your day-to-day development, the creating objects, I mean, creating different fields. I mean, even though it is very straightforward, you will be doing a lot of work, creating objects, creating fields and all. So that is also very important. Yeah. Yeah, if anybody, I mean, if you don't have any questions, maybe we can end the call. Good night, everybody.
Right.
Bye.